Well, here in the studio with me is DRYV1850, who is the founder and president of the Sudan Policy Forum. And Hiba was just giving us a rundown as to the various groups that are included in the Coalition for Freedom and Change and the other parties that are taking part in these negotiations. Give us a sense of what the ideology is. Are they ideologically driven, or is this just a push for change?
I believe that at this stage, we are not witnessing a high level of ideological polarization. I think these people are very much representative of the revolt that's going on in the street. And at this stage, we are definitely not trying to have a democratic legitimacy, as meaning we're not saying that these are the very representatives of the Sudanese people, but they are assigned with the duty of discussing issues that are very vital to the success of the revolution.
All right, so they are, but they are quite disparate, aren't they, the groups? There's the Ummah Party, for instance. There are the professional association that we've heard so much about. How unified are they as they begin these discussions, which I presume will last for a little while? We are expecting, by the way, there to be some statement coming from those talks in just a little while. So as soon, of course, as that happens, we'll take you live to it. But in the meantime, give us an idea as to how unified they are in purpose.
Yeah, I think previously we spoke about how representative they are of the street of the revolt now. But what we need to consider most importantly is what are they unrepresentative of? I mean, in order to have some level of inclusion in this process, we have to include people who may not have had the freedom. They didn't have the margin in which they could have organized themselves.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Al Hilo, people, Nuba Mountains, South Kordofan, Abdel Wahid, and there are many other. I mean, the majority of these people here, remember, we're talking about a period that comes immediately after a totalitarian regime. So 90% of the Sudanese people are unpoliticized. They haven't undergone any process of educational and political socialization.
And are you aware of any effort to reach out, to bring in these various groups, as you say, the various groups that haven't had the luxury of being able to mobilize and politicize themselves?
There are efforts made, I mean, very serious efforts made by the civic platform led by Mr. Hamid Ali, Mohammed Noor, and others. But I think he may be facing some resistance from within the group. There are centrist elites who would want to confine this debate within the center-left ideological spectrum. But we need to bring in this vertical spectrum, which is center versus periphery, because it could either make it or break it.
Right.
That had been the major conflict since independence and even prior to that. 20% of the resources of Sudan, 80% of the resources of Sudan are being manipulated by 20% of the population. So we need to be very much aware of that political equation. If we push things in the direction of manipulating the platform this way, it's going to have some very deleterious effects. But this is not the most crucial matter. The most crucial matter for me is for whatever groups that are representing the Sudanese people, that they become very tactful with the regime. If they allow themselves to be framed and for them to go and ask for demands, the regime would never get the message that it is the servant of the people. It's going to think that it's the patron of the people.
Right, OK. For now, thank you very much indeed, DRYV1850. Thank you.
Thank you.